Hi, welcome to another edition of Deacon Michael's Minute. A lot of people say, art really not for me. My mom being one of them. She'd say something along the lines of, I don't really want to go to an art museum. It's just kind of boring. It's just too, I just don't get art. I just don't get it. I totally understand. I took this movie class in high school. It was about movies, and it kind of taught us how to break down movies. And one of the great takeaways I had from that class, taught by Mr. Moore, was that everything in a movie or in a piece of art, let's say a painting or a mosaic, is intentional. It is deliberate. If you think about how many hours an artist has to go through to how many hours goes into making a painting, you wouldn't, the final product wouldn't be something that you're just like, nah, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it the way it is. No way. Everything in a painting or a movie or, like I said, a mosaic, even architecture, everything is deliberate. And I want to break down just a couple of things in this painting, right, that we have before us. I was kind of thumbing through the basement here, got a little extra time on our hands during these days, and so I was like, whoa, I love this painting. This is awesome. This is, of course, not the original, but it's a duplicate of a painting of Jesus washing the disciples' feet, if that's not obvious enough, taking at first glance. But there's more than meets the eye at first glance. This is a work by Ford Madox Brown, and it was painted in the mid 1800s. I just want to bring a couple of things to your attention that you may not notice the first time that you look at a piece of, at this one in particular, but hopefully it could open your eyes to see the beauty of art. Because God, as we know, is the foundation and the creator of everything that we know. He is the only one that is true, good, and beautiful. And all truth, goodness, and beauty comes from him. So let's take a look at a couple of elements from this painting alone. This account only occurs, this washing of the feet only occurs in the Gospel of John. Very interesting. And it occurs at the very location. This episode occurs in John at the place of the narration of the institution of the Eucharist. Very interesting. What do we have here in the background? It looks kind of like an altar, a little bit, I think. It has the white cloth, as you see in every Catholic church in the world. Even on top of this table, or altar, as we can call it, it appears to be a couple of pieces of unleavened bread. And we use unleavened bread when we break bread here in church. We call it the Eucharist. Very neat little addition here by the artist. One of the first things that someone notices when they happen upon this is that Peter's look on his face is just classic. If you remember from the story in the washing of the feet, Peter is like, no, Jesus, you will not wash my feet. He knows that Jesus is the Messiah. He is the Christ, the Son of God. He was not, he goes, no, you're not going to wash my feet, Jesus. And his face kind of gives it away. And then what does Jesus say? He says that, Peter, unless I wash your feet, you will have no inheritance with me. And so he just sort of concedes. He goes, all right. And that's kind of the look that he gives there. Great expression. I love the little bronze bowl that we have here. You can almost hear like the, sort of like the as the water drips into the bowl, you can kind of hear the sounds. Jesus, laser beam. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's focused on this task of washing the feet. He must do this. Jesus came not to be served, but to serve. And he's taking this role, he's dead serious. He's taking this role very seriously. And this is just an excellent way of his focus, and his set his face like flint for Jerusalem, as it says elsewhere in the Gospels. You can see his apostles kind of have the same sentiment as Peter, just like, no, what is going on? This is Jesus, you cannot wash my feet. It's almost as if you were at a wedding and you were to see the bride and the groom all decked out in their white gown and tuxedo, and they were like changing the trash or something. You'd be like, no, like no, you're not going to change the trash. And Jesus or the bride and the groom would go up to you and they'd be like, no, this is something that we have to do. We are your servants. That's kind of what's going on here. If you can, that's kind of a sentiment that relates. But you see John here. I love the look of John's face. He's just sort of like, oh, what's going on over there? And finally, you have this character here. Great artists will give some elements away to give you a little insight into what's going on in the piece of art. You see on the table here, or altar, as we've determined, is a little bag. That's the money bag containing the silver which will be given to the soldiers and the chief priests that will eventually betray Jesus, leading him to his passion and death. So we know that that man on the far left is Judas Iscariot. One little note about the composition and where he is in the total frame of the picture, he's literally behind the back of Jesus. Think about this too. Jesus predicted that one of the disciples, one of those who partook in this Last Supper, the institution of the Eucharist, would betray him. He knew that someone would betray him. Jesus washed the feet of Judas during the Last Supper. Whew. Could you imagine him holding his foot and like with the same intensity looking at it and washing it as a servant would wash the disgusting feet of any guest that came into his house? And yet Jesus was the one through whom all things were made. Yeah. I hope this has been a little fruitful for you. Maybe just kind of opening you up to one of my hobbies, a very amateur art appreciator, I guess you can say. Thanks for joining us this time, and hopefully I'll see you sometime when all this coronavirus stuff ends. I'm looking forward to seeing you in church, and thanks for joining us. God bless you, and I hope you've been stirred just a little bit more to a greater love of God. That's kind of the whole reason I do these things. So let me know what you think, and maybe even give me some suggestions for the next time, if there's anything that you'd like to see in particular. For now, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you next time.